hey, Sean, the world is changing, I think, in a good way, but like most good change, unfortunately, it comes with a fight and it takes time. And I'm referring to demeanor in the professional workforce. And when I first started out in Boom, I was going to networking things, and I had gone to like golf tournaments where you meet people, and people just used awful language and talked about girls and in derogatory ways, and it was just sort of weird and gross. And I assumed at the time, I mean, I was 22, 23 or something like that. Like, I was definitely a small fish in the big ocean of these larger sharks. That analogy works. That I didn't feel comfortable saying something. I didn't want to be the guy to come in and say like, hey, please don't use language like that and make the thing awkward and ruin the rest of the day. But there were two situations that happened last year which caused me to change my terms and conditions for any client that I have at Boom. Number one, I was filming a wedding, and it was the first wedding that I had ever filmed, and I don't film a lot of weddings, but it was a producer, a guy who does weddings, a ton of them, and he hired me just as a camera operator to be another video person there. And I was with the groom's family all day, and the stepfather of the bride was there, and twice in about a minute, he said the N-word, and it just sent chills through. It's been a long time since I've been in any circle where someone is just comfortable using that term, especially in the context that he was using it. It made me super uncomfortable, but I was in this situation where it's not really my place to say, hey, buddy, because it's one of those things where I'm not going to change his mind. If you're the type of person who uses that language in mixed company with people you don't know, then odds are one of those strangers saying that they're offended by it is not going to change your heart about the kind of language you use. And so saying something wouldn't have necessarily fixed anything, but I felt weird not saying anything. And had I said something, it had the potential to become a scene, and then maybe this producer loses the wedding clients and the referrals that come from that. And it wasn't my place to say something, and instead I swallowed hard, and I got paid like $500 for that day. And I thought about that for a week. I'm still thinking about it now, and that was last year. $500 isn't enough to deal with that. That's not enough money to pay me to be okay with what happened. And I don't know what that number is. But then I was in another situation working for an agency, again as a camera op, where it wasn't my client. It was two construction companies, and these older, not even that old, maybe in their 50s, these male CEOs of these two companies were talking about each other's younger female assistants, and they were describing their appearance, and then they were like, oh, will you give me a little bit more makeup, hun? And that hun stung my ears. But it was just this boorish behavior of them like flirting, and I was so uncomfortable with it. And I was talking to the other camera operator I was with and the sound person. We were all sort of uncomfortable, but it wasn't our place to say anything. It wasn't our client, and I don't know what our rights were within our contracts with this agency. But I knew that after that, I needed to change what Boom did, because I never want my crew to feel the way that I felt as a part of their crew. So in my terms, I added the Boom's working environment expectations, and it's summarized in two sentences of: we want our sets to be a welcoming and comfortable place for everyone present, and we insist that everyone use respectful language and have respectful behavior. And I give a couple examples. We don't tolerate bigoted language, racist language, sexist language, any comments about someone's appearance that could make them feel uncomfortable, and anything that's generally disrespectful. I then put a consequence in there where if after one warning someone continues to behave in this way, then Boom gets to either pack up and leave and still bill full price for the production. We're going to cancel the project, but everyone who showed up on my crew, including myself, is going to get paid. So we're still billing for production, but we're done. Or number two, we continue production, but we're doubling the cost so that I can double everybody's paycheck who's on set with me that day. And I hope that I'm never in the situation where I have to flex on somebody and be in that argument. That's not in my nature to be in that argumentative place of saying, like, actually, we're going to keep going, but now try to put a smile on your face for these interviews because I'm charging you double. It's not a place I want to be in. And before this, most of my clients, this isn't a problem. In fact, all of my current clients, all of my long-term clients, this is not an issue whatsoever. This is something I put in to sort of future-proof myself and to have a different impact, which I'll talk about at the very end here. But The two things that have happened are, one, I've gotten a little bit of like, okay, well, Ron's gonna be on set, and so I'll make sure we talk to him ahead of time. And it breaks my heart that there are people who not only have that reputation for they're going to be a disrespectful problem in a public setting, but that they have to be warned. It's sad, but I've been in a few situations where somebody has either uninvited someone to set or had a talk with them beforehand. That's number one. But number two, the other thing that happens, and it's happened twice, where people have said, actually, I want our lawyers to look at this because I'm not sure that it would be enforceable. And I want to know what examples would cause this to happen. So that way, if it does occur, we can make sure that things are taken care of. And in both of those situations with those two potential clients, I said, don't bother, because I don't want to proceed. I could tell at that point, if you're pushing back and saying that we are at such a risk of having disrespectful behavior that we want our lawyers to see if we're protected from being charged double to compensate the people who have to deal with us for being ignorant buttheads, then I know that that's not a client I want to work with. And so in those two situations, I've said, thank you, but we're going to pass. I'm going to, take ourselves out of consideration for this project. And I'm happy that this hopefully is something that I never have to enforce. But the bigger picture here is that not only do I want to make sure that I'm creating a safe and comfortable environment for not only my crew, but for my clients as well, and if need be, protect them from each other or from themselves. But I think there is a bigger implication here which can be neat, where there's a conversation that has to happen within these companies. And maybe, just maybe, if a CEO has to ask, hey, why did that video shoot fall through? Why did they cancel? And it has to be explained to them, well, they had this policy about respectful language, and we knew that it might end up being a sticking point for us, so we're going to find something else. And hopefully that ripple effect of these sort of changes is something that can have a bigger impact, because I'm tired. This is my working environment. This is my job, my career. I'm not some kid playing in somebody else's playground here. This is my workplace, and I'm in charge of it, and I'm not asking for anyone's permission to feel a certain way. I'm saying that if you want to work as a professional around me and my peers, that you need to conduct yourself in a certain way, and I really don't think I'm asking too much. And so I've talked to a few other producers who are starting to include things like this in their terms, because we're tired of sitting around and being behind the camera, rolling our eyes and rubbing our foreheads because somebody is being ignorant. And so hopefully by doing this enough, we can raise the level of behavior to an acceptable point for some people who have been problems in the past, where there starts to be a long-term change that affects not only on our set, but on our community in general. So that's what I'm thinking about today. If you've had any stories that have stuck with you that you wish you could have said something, or it was a tricky situation, feel free to share them in the comments, because we've all been there. And it's things like this and conversations like this that are going to help us all have the confidence and the cooperation to make a change and make these environments the environments that we want them to be, and that we want to have our careers exist in. So thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.